Most businesses fail to write VSLs that make rich people buy because they think the richer somebody is, the more detailed and specific they need to be. You see, I've written over 100 VSLs, but whenever I need to make rich people buy, there's only one VSL structure that I use every single time. It's a couple minutes long and it's our best converting VSL structure until this day because we don't waste their time. So instead of giving you some frameworks, I'll just show you the exact example of one of the VSLs that I've written for one of my clients, Mason, a health coach who's helping high-level entrepreneurs increase their focus by becoming healthier. He's closed multiple 7 to 8 figure entrepreneurs at this point. So here it is. Here's how you write a VSL that makes rich people buy. If you don't nail the intro, you might as well just skip this entire video, because if you mess this up, nobody will even get to the point of listening to your $1 million copy. The structure of the intro are external problems, desire, obstacles, then internal struggles caused by external problems and obstacles, and then the promise of the desire. We start with the intro, which is brain fog, bad sleep, chronic stress, and hair loss. If you suffer from any of the 4 conditions I just named, chances are you're currently operating at only 30% of your human potential. If that is not a hook, what is? You see, the reason why I named this is because those are actually external problems. External problems are problems that our client, our ideal client, can actually relate to. If you don't know what your client can relate to, how are you going to hook them? Here in this case, brain fog, bad sleep, chronic stress, and hair loss are all 4 conditions that all tie together. Which means if you experience one of those things, you experience all 4. So basically, somebody will look at this, most of our viewers, and think, holy I don't have one of these 4. I have all 4 of these. And this guy just told me if I just had one, I operate at 30% of my cognitive potential. So they'll want to see the solution. The next step then is the desire. You're currently operating at only 30% of your human potential. That is basically the desire to fix that problem. You can also just use the desire of something that they want, not something that they don't want, like we're using it here. The next steps are the obstacles. And the thing is, I know you've tried everything you're supposed to. Supplements, diets, fitness, the list goes on. But simply just pre-handling objections, right? A lot of people will think this is the same shit as everything else, and you'll just show them, hey, all that stuff that you've tried out, this is different. The internal struggles are probably the most important part of this entire video. The internal struggles will cause one thing. You see, external problems are something that people can or may relate to, but it's very surface level. They'll say, yeah, I've experienced that. But if you literally know exactly what they think and how they feel, there's no way that they'll click away from your video, because they'll think, fuck, this guy actually knows my exact situation. It builds intrigue. So what are those thoughts? Well, you ask yourself the question, does success simply require me to sacrifice my well-being? But deep down, you know, if you were healthier, you would not only look and feel better, but actually make way more money. We're talking to high-level entrepreneurs here, right? What is so important about these internal problems as well? You tailor these internal and external problems to the niche that you're trying to reach, one of the two. Because otherwise, you're just going to get a bunch of unqualified leads and you're going to need to have setup calls and just have a completely complicated process. But here, we can literally just filter them out right from the beginning. Because no employee or student would make more money if they were healthier, because they're working the same hours and they're getting paid the same thing. And then we get into the promise of desire, which is, I'm going to solve your problem. In the next 5 minutes, I'll show you the exact system I use to help more than 40 entrepreneurs reach their maximum cognitive and physical potential in as little as 8 weeks. Now, the whole goal of this is not actually to sell them something, but just to set them up for the future by making them relate and making them understand this is for me, plus making them intrigued enough so they continue to watch the video. Only now do we build trust, because through front-loading results, we not only become somebody worth listening to, but we pre-handle every objection somebody may have. Front-loading relatable results comes down to relatable external problems of a person, objections, the result. Why? We make them relate, then we name them objections that they may have, and then we show them the results that these people had despite the objections. Possibly we even explain why. I've given this protocol to one of my clients, Bo, a 7-figure entrepreneur, relatable, who would literally struggle to write a simple email because of his brain fog. Is it relatable? And the results, and then we basically just show a clip of Bo, which is an interview in which he explains the results that he has. Or Raphael, who was suffering under chronic stress and therefore rapidly lost chunks of hair day by day. That is relatable. And within 40 days, he not only stopped his hair loss, but he completely reversed it and grew his hair back. Yes, 40 days. That's faster than surgery in Turkey. Or Pacome, a young entrepreneur who messaged me because he used to wake up in the middle of the night and start his day with massive cortisol spikes, hindering him from concentrating nor getting in shape. Now we're actually getting to the objection. As an entrepreneur, sometimes you're simply required to sacrifice sleep or even pull an all-nighter to get shit done. But we massively increase his sleep quality instead of just his sleep duration. And the result? Pacome fixed his focus and gained 35 pounds of muscle mass. In 8 weeks? No, Of course not, but he simply continued running the systems we had built for him because they required maximum of 30 minutes per day. And now we just mixed a couple of objections in there as well. I have literally dozens of cases like these, entrepreneurs in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Doesn't matter what genetics you have, and doesn't matter how much time you have, as long as you can spare 30 minutes per day, my system will help you look, feel, and perform at your maximum potential within 8 weeks, right? Age objection, genetics objection, time objection, all pre-handled within this part. Now we sell somebody on the opportunity before we sell them on the product. You could have the best product in the world, much better than all your competitors, but if people don't believe in the solution that you are selling with your product, they won't buy on the spot. Somebody who hates cats won't buy cat food, no matter how healthy it may be. That simple. Now, the way we introduce the opportunity is through something that we call the Clarity Pyramid. Clarity Pyramid is a framework that I stole from Matt Gray, and I use in every single one of my VSLs because it's just so effective. We're not trying to waste somebody's time. We're trying to prove a point as fast as possible, and this is the fastest framework that I've seen ever because it works, it's quick, it's short, it doesn't beat around the bush, and it's very important for rich people, and they don't want their time to be wasted by some young guy in front of a camera promising them the world. It goes as follows. 1 belief, 3 arguments, proof to back up the arguments. The 1 belief in order to make somebody buy your stuff is always the same. The new opportunity is the key to get the desire, and it is attainable within the product. So in Mason's case, it's living the way you are supposed to is the key to unlocking 100% of your human potential, and it's attainable within his program Limitless. We start everything with a but clause. What is a but clause? A but clause is the best way in order to introduce a new opportunity. It's basically saying, now I'd love to give you a magic pill that would make you use 100% of your brain cells like in the movie Limitless, but that's just not the case. The truth of the matter is that living the way we are naturally intended to is the key to reaching 100% of your human potential. Why? Whenever you say something psychologically before a but that is vulnerable, you gain trust towards a person. Vulnerability will always gain trust. You becoming vulnerable towards a person means you open up and they gain trust because they're like, damn, this person actually opened up to me. Whatever you say after that but now becomes more believable. So a vulnerable thing is, I can't give you a magic pill. And the thing that we want them to believe is that living the way we are naturally intended to is the key to reaching 100% of your human potential. Use that in every single one of your VSLs. It's incredibly powerful, even on sales calls. And now we get into the interesting part. When my clients' circumstances don't give them the luxury of going for a 2-hour walk in the woods to ground themselves, sometimes shit needs to get done, and that requires a fuck ton of work. So here's how I helped them anywhere. And now we get into the opportunity. Chronic stress is the reason why you lose hair, can't focus, can't sleep, and wake up with cortisol spikes every single morning. That is argument 1. But stress and burnout are not the result of too much work. And contrary to common belief, working less will not help you get rid of stress. That is argument 2. Herbert Freudenberger was the clinical psychologist and psychotherapist who discovered burnout. He said, burnout is what happens when you care too much for too long. That is proof for argument 1 and 2, because argument 2 builds on argument 1. And just because you don't work, your problems don't disappear. They still exist, and now you care even more because you stop doing anything about them. That is argument 3. And now we introduce the sentence that we used before, which is the 1 belief, which is that living the way we are naturally intended to is the key to reaching 100% of your human potential, by saying, so how do we stop caring whilst continuing to work on solving the problem? Health. Real, deep cellular health that signals to your nervous system that you're capable and doing well. So that's the belief that we pointed out in the beginning up here as well. And we're basically tying everything back to a full circle moment, and then we actually show proof for the belief. In a study conducted by the Finnish Institute of Occupational Health, 319 participants between the ages of 18 to 65 have been tested. The effect, 53% of participants had a way lower risk of depressive symptoms and felt better overall due to their lack of stress. The work did not change, their health did. Presenting your offer is the point where most people drop off because you're selling something to them directly. So it must be simple and incredibly effective. So how do we put all this persuasion that we need to do into this much space? I'd love to give you a completely complicated, fancy framework that will make me sound smart, but it's actually quite simple. You introduce the offer by naming your results again and tying it back to the results that you've achieved. And then you get into naming a feature of your product and then the benefit of that feature. And that's it. First, we introduce the offer. Then we say it's a simple procedure I ran with all 40 of my clients. So we tie it back to our results. We continue to introduce the offer. And then again, the reason why this works so well is because of the sheer amount of experience I've had with myself and the 40 entrepreneurs I helped. And we talk more about results. Personally, I saw my own eye color change from brown to green due to the change of my gut biome, resulting in less toxins within my iris that allowed the green to stand out. I know this sounds insane. It's nothing to do with a VSL. I've asked him. He's shown me proof. It's true. Ever since, I've grown to height despite my parents being height. Also something that really happened. Whilst doing all of that, I personally have been running multiple businesses for years and know the struggle of not having the luxury of just taking a break. Result: once somebody becomes a member at Limitless, there's a process everyone goes through that is quite simple but effective. It's a 3-step process. What's the thing? We introduce the feature which is phase 1. As explained before, number 1 is custom nutrient testing, where we'll get data on your nutrients, your enzymes, your hormones, your amino acids, and more. We won't just guess on why you have brain fog, lack of sleep, or chronic stress. Now comes the benefit. We will find out the origins, black on white, and only then switch to step 2. And the thing, you and me will be implementing the improvements together step by step for 8 weeks straight. This will eat a lot of my time, but I'm simply required to consider that you're a human being with different circumstances. That is the benefit. It's custom. And until today, that simply allowed me to find a solution to every problem for more than 40 clients. The benefit: find a solution to every problem for more than 40 clients, which is why I can contractually guarantee results. Another benefit of the thing. So again, feature, benefits of feature. Phase 3 is a simple ongoing course correction for the next 6 months. Latest by week 8, you'll feel at your peak, but simply having somebody you can bounce your ideas off or ask questions to stay at your peak once new issues arise is essential to get results like book homes, bows, or Raphaels. Again, we name the feature and then we name the benefit. Bouncing your ideas off or ask questions to staying at your peak once new issues arise is essential to get results like book homes, bows, or Raphaels. Making somebody take action is actually something that I've learned 2 years ago when I worked on door to door, because I was 2 weeks away from being evicted from my flat because I was completely broke living in Australia. I needed the job and I needed to learn sales. And my sales coach, Peter, had 10 years of experience in sales. And one concept that he told me to make somebody buy is the reason why I got to pay my rent. That framework is what I'm about to show you now. Whenever you sell something to somebody, the only reason why people don't take action is because they're afraid of the risk and they don't see the benefit of the payoff. So let's say, for example, that this is the payoff and this is the risk. If people perceive the risk to be this big and the payoff to be this small, there's basically no reason to take action anymore, because it just seems like the risk is so high, the payoff is just not enough in order to even take the risk. People automatically assume that a risk is bigger than it is in order to protect themselves. That's a natural process by human beings so that we could survive back then in the Stone Ages. Stone Ages? No. Yeah, Stone Ages. So how do we make somebody take action if he is in this state that I'm describing here? Well, by designing the payoff to be way bigger and the risk to be way smaller than it actually is. And that is what we do here. If you want somebody to stand in your corner who has specifically helped more than 40 entrepreneurs like you, payoff. Can help you look, feel, and perform at your maximum potential within 8 weeks. Payoff. Far more effective than anything you've tried. Payoff. Simply because I've done it so many times. Payoff. Very short, a short application below this video. You can fill it out to see if you qualify. If it's a good fit, I'll map out the full process of us working together from beginning till end of a call just for you to see what it's like. And if not, I'll point you to the best material I have for you, the risk, so you can just do it yourself completely free of charge. So what did we do here? We did everything that we could in order to make sure that the payoff feels as high as possible, and then describe to them, hey, if you don't want the payoff and we hop on a call and you actually don't want that thing, well, what'll happen is I'll point you into the right direction. So the risk is that you win something and the payoff is that you win something big. So you win or you win. So you basically eliminate the risk and you enlarge the payoff. That is how you make somebody take action. That is why I didn't go broke and I was able to pay my rent in Australia. And then we start to build scarcity. Building scarcity is something that most people fuck up because they use the same techniques that have been used in 2020 or 2021 by Iman Gadzhi, Alex Ramosi, etc., etc. And they ask themselves why nobody takes action. Well, because they don't fall for it anymore. You can't tell people we have limited spots and expect everybody to join. You actually need to give them a real reason why you have limited spots or why you're going to increase your prices in the future. And that is what we say. No, usually this is the point where I'll tell you that we have limited spots to build scarcity, but if I think I can help somebody, I'll take them on. Just not all at once. Boom. That's why once you fill in the application below, you'll either 1, be able to book a call, or 2, you'll need to sign up to the waiting list. I take on as many people as I can. Now we find the reason. But once I feel like I'm spreading myself too thin, I'll close the access and you'll need to wait until I'm done providing for my current clients for another 8 weeks. So fill in the application below to see if you can still book a call. And I'm looking forward to getting you in with the others. Step 6 is to cut out the BS. You see, this video will actually have an A version and a B version. The A version will have the complete script that you just saw from top to bottom. The B version won't have step 3, selling them on the opportunity. Why do we do that? Well, because sometimes people don't need to be sold to the opportunity. We have 2 locations for this VSL. One is inside our low ticket community and one is a landing page to sell people from our YouTube to the high ticket. So if we upsell people from the low ticket to the high ticket, chances are they already believe in the opportunity which is described in step 3. So if we were presented to them again, they're just going to be bored and they're going to click off and they're not going to buy. That's why most VSLs don't perform. They just include too much. But chances are, if somebody's going to watch a YouTube video about the easiest way to become healthier, not everybody is going to be sold on the opportunity, but some will. And here's the part that is crucial, which is why most people fuck up their VSL watch time. If you look at the VSL that is on my landing page, for example, I know that there's going to be a lot of highly sophisticated buyers who are not wanting to waste their time, which is why I have around 10 chapters in my VSL, just enabling people to skip through the video. And I'm not hiding what I'm presenting in the VSL. The part where I show my offer is named offer. Now, if this seemed a bit overwhelming, that's okay. It took me multiple years, dozens of books, and thousands of dollars in coaching courses and programs in order to learn the stuff that I'm teaching you here right now. But the truth is, most of my most valuable learnings ever actually came from this one book that I've read because my mentor has recommended it to me. So if you want to know the most valuable learnings about marketing, info, and VSLs, I'm actually breaking down this book fully in a video up here. I want to thank you for your time, and if you need me, I'm here.